Buckle up as Bitcoin breaks new ground with mainstream adoption, fast food integration, and sovereign accumulation. On today's episode of the Bitcoin Street Journal podcast, Anna dives into Steak and Shake's Bitcoin move, Eric Trump's pro-BTC declarations, bullish on-chain signals, and Jim Chanos' latest Bitcoin critiques. Tune in for a sharp, signal-rich, and Satoshi-approved ride. Welcome back to the Bitcoin Street Journal podcast. I'm your host, Anna, reporting from Bitcoin Street, where we run on SATs, not slogans, and our crocs come with QR codes. Price check. As of now, Bitcoin is trading at $105,180 with a market dominance of 61.3%. We're deep in six-figure territory and climbing like a Falcon 9 rocket. Market cap? $2.07 trillion. Not bad for a dead asset. Halving Watch. The post-halving landscape continues to evolve, with the block reward now slashed to 3.125 BTC. New supply is vanishing into long-term wallets faster than legacy media credibility. HODLers are stacking, while the rest are snacking. Headline 1, Steak and Shake goes full lightning. In what might be the most American sentence ever spoken on Bitcoin Street, Steak and Shake now accepts Bitcoin at all U.S. locations via the Lightning Network. Scan a QR, get your fries, and stack Saties in style. Political candidate Valentina Gomez even filmed herself buying burgers with Bitcoin. The message? This isn't theoretical anymore. It's transactional. The company even tweeted a spaceship and said, "All aboard." Translation, the fiat clown car is out of gas and Bitcoin is the ride of the future. S&P Global signals Bitcoin is neutral ground. SUAP Global Ratings Andrew O'Neill called Bitcoin geopolitically neutral. That's no small statement from the same crowd that rates nation-state debt. It's recognition that Bitcoin isn't just non-sovereign. It's anti-fragile, untouchable, and unbothered by borders. Teach your kids before the state does. A viral post this week reminded us of something simple but powerful. Teach your kids about money before the state does. Fiat indoctrination starts early. If your kid can swipe an iPad, they can learn the difference between sound money and monopoly money. Quotable of the day, if they can print trillions of it for free, you're just working for them. Stop working for them and use a money that has the same rules for everybody. And trust me, on a long enough timeline, that will pay off like you could not believe. That's from the Guy Swan and Walker America via WLRVs. Print that, tape it to your fridge, tattoo it on your accountant. Fact check, the 1% myth. Only 0.27% of the global population can mathematically own one Bitcoin. That's it. That's the whole pie. If you've got a whole coin, you're already wealthier in a future-denominated world than 99.73% of humanity. GD Culture Group going full Bitcoiner. NASDAQ-listed GD Culture Group announced plans to sell up to $300 million worth of shares to acquire Bitcoin and crypto. They didn't just write a blog post, they filed paperwork. It's another sign the corporate floodgates are open. And they're not just copying MicroStrategy, they're joining the Treasury Standard Club. Flashback moment. Remember January 19th, 2016? The Washington Post declared Bitcoin dead. RIP Bitcoin. It's time to move on. Now imagine shorting that headline. Jim Chanos still doesn't get it. Famed short seller Jim Chanos is calling MicroStrategy's Bitcoin Treasury strategy ridiculous. He says companies like MSTR are just selling stock to buy Bitcoin. To that we say, good. Better to trade fiat equity for digital scarcity than to hoard cash that loses value every time the Fed sneezes. Eric Trump joins the signal. Eric Trump dropped a quote that has Bitcoin Street buzzing. I hear it from sovereign wealth funds, the wealthiest families, and the biggest companies. It's a race to accumulate as much Bitcoin as possible. And I promise you, we're going to beat them in that marathon. Is the Trump family gearing up for a Bitcoin treasury strategy of their own? Time will tell. Lawrence Leopard, whole coiners will be elite. According to investor Lawrence Leopard, being a whole coiner is going to be an enormous deal in a few years. If you needed more reason to stay convicted and stack harder, there it is. One Bitcoin is not just a number, it's a legacy. Bloomberg now using decimal notation for BTC. Even Bloomberg Terminal has updated Bitcoin's price to show $0.1M instead of $100,000. That's not just cosmetic. That's institutional foresight baked into the interface. Polymarket says 3% odds for 1 MBTC in 2025. Prediction market Polymarket gives Bitcoin a 3% chance of hitting $1 million this year. The odds might be low, but remember, That number was 0 not long ago.
Sailor's open-ended question.
Michael Saylor asked a chilling hypothetical. What happens if it stops going up? Answer, it won't. But if it ever did, the entire fiat-based asset stack would collapse under the weight of its own fraud.
USDF entering top 10 stablecoins?
Andrei Graychev says USDF will break into the top 10 stablecoins soon, with major partnerships pending. Whether that's a win for decentralization or not remains to be seen, but stablecoin wars are heating up.
30-year Treasury yield at 5.02%.
U.S. 30-year Treasuries just reached a 5.02% yield, the highest since November 2023. That's not a return. That's a red flag. Risk-free returns are supposed to be boring, not historic. The world is waking up to risk premium mispricing.
On-chain alert, bullish signal flips.
Market cap versus. Realized cap ratio is now back in bullish territory. The last time we saw this flip was the 2020 mid-cycle slowdown, and you know what came next? A historic rally.
BTC ETF inflows keep climbing.
From May 12 to 16, spot Bitcoin ETFs saw $260.27 million in net inflows. Ethereum ETFs, just $22, 12 million. The signal here is obvious. Institutions are buying Bitcoin.
Bukele update. El Salvador's Bitcoin profit hits Sham 357.
President Nayib Bukele released a new report showing El Salvador's strategic BTC reserve is now $357 million in the green. That's not just a win, it's a global flex.
Value for value shoutouts.
If this podcast brings you value, bring some value back. Send us some SATs. Stream us on fountain.fm. Share, discover, and support over 4 million podcasts and emerging artists, powered by Bitcoin and Nostr.
Pleb shoutouts. To Steak and Shake for taking Bitcoin mainstream.
To Valentina Gomez for campaigning with conviction and burgers. To every parent teaching their kids about sound money before the textbooks lie to them.
Closing thoughts.
Bitcoin is more than a price. It's a principle, a protest, a policy. While the dollar decays and the legacy system doubles down on control, Bitcoin marches on, decentralized, disinflationary, and unstoppable. This is Anna signing off from the Bitcoin Street Journal podcast. Stay sovereign, stay signal. See you on the next block.